Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith. Today I'm talking about The X-Files Whirlwind by Charles Grant from Harper Prism. There you go. And in this book, I'm going to read a little bit from the back cover copy. Serial killers come in all shapes and sizes, but this one is particularly puzzling. There's no pattern to the mutilated bodies that have been showing up in Albuquerque. Both sexes, all races, ages, ethnic groups. There is no evidence of rape or ritual. Only one thing connects the victims. They were victims of a natural disaster. And so Mulder and Scully of the FBI, the X-Files, are called in to take a look at this case. So there's your nutshell, your back cover copy. For the too long didn't watch folks, I gave this a 3 out of 5 on Goodreads. I liked it. I was in the mood for something X-File-ish, so I grabbed an X-Files novel, and for me it felt like a midline X-Files episode. Not one of the greatest, not one of the worst, just one of those straight down the middle episodes of the X-Files, a monster of the week type of episode. So for anybody, if there's anybody watching this who doesn't know, The X-Files is a TV show, a series of novels, short stories, comic books, all sorts of stuff, that features FBI agents Fox Mulder and Dana Scully. And Fox Mulder, also known as Creepy Mulder, is his office is in the basement, and he generally deals with what's known as the X-Files, the weird cases, the cases other agents don't want to touch. And in the first episode of the show, his new partner is Dana Scully, who is a doctor, and Fox Mulder believes in the paranormal, in UFOs. He believes his sister was abducted by a UFO when she was 8 years old. Scully is a skeptic. She believes in science. She doesn't believe all of this stuff. So, but they have great chemistry together. They work well on the cases, and it's good to have both sides represented. So there's your basic X-Files 101. So after these bodies have turned up, Mulder and Scully get called in. They fly out to New Mexico, and they start investigating. And I don't want to say too much more about it in case you want to read the book, because there's some twists and turns and surprises and things. I always hate to spoil a book. Charles Grant, or Charles L. Grant, primarily known as a horror author. I have a whole stack of his books over there. You can't see them, but they're over there. And he's generally, I feel, a very atmospheric horror writer. Not always, but I felt very good at building very creepy, tense, suspenseful atmosphere. And that's not necessarily very prevalent. There's a little bit of that in this book. It's well written. The characters are interesting. It did feel that it is a book for people who are already fans of the X-Files. We don't get a lot of character for Mulder and Scully. If you've never seen the X-Files, not familiar with it, you're not gonna learn too much about Mulder and Scully. But is anyone who's not an X-Files fan reading an X-Files novel? I can't say. I don't know. But it's well written. It's an interesting story. It follows the scenic beats of the TV show, where we have sort of a cold open. There's some dead bodies. Then we meet Mulder. We meet Scully. They get the case. We might cut to another scene where another victim, is either victimized or found. Back to Mulder and Scully. Now they're in New Mexico, starting their investigation. Cut to somebody else. Structured very much like the TV show. And again, it's written well enough. it gave me those X-File vibes that I was looking for at the time, but not outstanding. Not the best X-Files story I've ever encountered. So I don't want to say too much about the story itself. As I said, I like to avoid spoilers. You've got Mulder and Scully looking into these mysterious deaths that seem like murder, but also seem like maybe something natural happened to these people. Naturally unnatural, unnaturally natural. Um, so 3 out of 5. I liked it, but it didn't blow me away. I can't even say I really liked it. It was fine. And that's about it. It's well written X-Files story. If you're a fan of the show, middle of the road episode. It's not a waste of time. If you haven't read it, you like the X-Files, you want a little taste, give this a read. The X-Files Whirlwind by Charles Grant. 3 out of 5 stars. There you go. Question for this video. I feel like I've asked this before. So kind of a two-parter. If you are a fan of the X-Files, do you prefer Monster of the Week or the overall conspiracy stuff? I prefer the Monster of the Week stuff. It's just how I am. Plus, I've read in a number of places that with different showrunners, different head writers, people were always making changes to that overarching story stuff, conspiracy, government stuff. And so it could become very confusing and contradictory. So it's just easier for me to focus on the Monster of the Week stuff. But what do you think? What is your favorite type of episode from the X-Files? And then the other question is, if you're not an X-Files fan, is there a reason why not? Is it just a genre or type of story that doesn't interest you? Or did you give it a try and it didn't work for you? And if not, why not? Let me know all that in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. And if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. And on Blue Sky, I am @EL Smith. That's all I have for you. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith. And until next time, read more books.